Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Today is February 12th, 2024, and we get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time. I want to congratulate each of you for today being payday. As Thomas Kearns likes to say, every day should be payday as a branch. So if today is not payday for you, you please, please, please need to let us know what we need to do to fix that. So again, congratulations, Charles, on today's big payday. David, same for you. Eric, awesome job. Congratulations on a big payday today. Jeanette, same for you, and Marilyn, and Pauline, and Pearlie, and Reginald, and Rosalind, and Toyley, and many others. So congratulations on today being payday. Every day should be payday as a branch office. There are so many small business owners that want and need funding, and you're able to help them become fundable. So let's go ahead and dig into today's topic, and we're going to use the I want to go to Paris analogy. So hear me out, and this will probably make sense as we go along. So if you were visiting with a friend or a colleague and they said, hey, I want to go to Paris, what keeps them from just going to Paris? And we're making an analogy of going to funding. Well, can you just will yourself to go to Paris? So I just think I want to be in Paris, so I'm just going to Paris. No, we probably need to determine how to get to Paris, right? That's a smart question that we would ask. How am I going to get there? Well, we happen to know that Paris is on a different continent, so it's not like we're just going to walk there. We're probably going to most likely going to fly. Maybe we're going to take a ship or maybe even a submarine, but most likely we're going to fly. And then are there any prerequisites? Well, would I need my passport? Would that be important? So this how question is, I think, what's often missing from our prospects, because we've talked about that there's two qualifying questions that you and I should ask an individual. The first question is, are you wanting money to start or grow a business? And the second one is your business fundable? Well, that question number two is really talking about the how. The how, because we can't just demand funding. What people should be asking you is, how can you help me become fundable? That's what all these prospects should be asking you. How can you, Bernard, how can you, David, how can you, Gilbert, help me become fundable? But they don't know to ask that. So you have to assist them. You should be assisting them in formulating the right question, because you can't just will yourself to go to Paris. You can't just will yourself to get funding. We need a plan, and then we need to be qualified. But they're not thinking that way. So how do we overcome that financial literacy gap? Well, one of the things that we've talked about is using our curriculum, and we've gone through this before, and each of you should have an editable version. This is a PowerPoint presentation that talks about the 10 mistakes. Well, the opposite is true too, right? So if we talk about the 10 mistakes, these are the 10 things that if you have, then you become fundable, which of course are summarized and included in the resource that you and I offer people. So we have this. So let me start with asking, in the past 7 days, and it's okay, whatever the answer is, I'm just looking for feedback. In the past 7 days, how many people, either in person or online, individually or group, don't care, but how many people have you educated using this message? So I'm going to ask each of you to go ahead and type a response in to the Q&A, because I can't convey enough. Most people are missing the problem. They think they just need funding, but what they really need to know from you is how. All right, so David, thank you for responding. Marilyn, Felicia, great double digits. Looking for how many people each of you educated on the 10 mistakes. Because if you don't teach them, and you don't have to use this formal curriculum, we also have the comparison document, right? And the comparison document is here. And we did a presentation on it. I'll bring it up just enough so you can see it.
My name's
Pause it there. So remember this comparison document where we help them understand what does it take to become funding, and then how does our program help. So this is a really good one pager. If you don't have this and you're not using this, it's probably an easier conversation piece than trying to take them through a full PowerPoint. But going back to the point here is this how is so important. I can't tell you how often I have prospective clients that come and they're looking for something almost that's too good to be true. It's like they're looking for a scam. It's like they're looking for something that is unrealistic. I just want funding. Well, the question is, are you fundable? Because that's the value proposition that you and I bring. We help any business become fundable legally, credibly, effectively, without any risk. So what does that mean? We start by providing a unique commercial address. It doesn't matter what they like or dislike. It's not about your opinion, my opinion, or their opinion. We're going through a checklist of what it takes to have a fundable business. These are the facts. And having a unique business address is crucial. Now, if they already have it, that's fine. It's not that they have to, if it's not broken, they don't have to fix it, but that is included at no cost. It's free. So that's one way that we help them qualify for funding. Now, again, if they already have that, that's fine, but if not, it's included. What's the second thing that we do to help them with the how to be qualified for funding? We file an entity for them with the Secretary of State. Again, if they already have that, fine. We'll use theirs, not a problem. But if they don't, it's included. And how much does it cost them? It's free. Once we have and this order is important, right? So we need the address first, then we file with the Secretary of State, then we need to get our EIN and bank account. And we help them with that for free. Once we have these three elements, we kind of have the foundation of a business to build fundability. But if we don't have these three elements, nothing else really matters. So again, if they bring these three bullets to the table, great. That makes it even faster. If they have some of the three elements, that's fine. But those are the elements we need, right? We need a good address. We need to be in good standing with Secretary of State. We need to have EIN be good standing with the federal government. So then the two big deliverables that you and I provide that addresses the how, remember we were talking about how is it that we create value for the client? Why is it that a client would want to enroll? Well, a client would want to enroll with you through your branch is if they want funding. But the only way to get funding is to have a fundable business. And again, we've covered multiple times. The problem is they often don't know what that means. So if you're not effective in teaching them and educating what it means to be fundable, you're missing out on the primary obstacle that most of these small businesses face. So these two bullets are really the root of what we do. We only provide these three elements just in case they don't have them. There's nothing special about this, right? They could go get an address on their own. Needs to be unique, can't be shared, needs to be business, not residential, not post office box. But you and I don't have some lock on addresses. They could get an address on their own, that's fine. They could go file with the Secretary of State on their own or use an attorney, whatever they want, and they can get an EIN without us. So I'm not suggesting any of this is special. It's what's needed to even move into the fundability building. So then what we know is we need to have a strong business credit profile. It is financially illiterate to think that I'm just going to have a business that exists, even if they have all three of these, and I'm ready to go get a big loan. That's unlikely, right? Because the business hasn't proven that it's credible. It has no history, no payment history. So what do you and I do? We help them build a payment history by adding 3 primary trade lines. We're going to add at least 4, FOUR, 4 trade lines, and that's going to create a good paydex score with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, before we just jump in there and start adding trade lines, what we're going to do is help them build out their business credit profile. So that all falls under this bullet. So that's important. Now, do you and I have a lock on this? No, they could go to other companies like Credit Suite, Credit, SUITE, out of Florida. Great company, wonderful company. This bullet is pretty analogous to what they do. Now they'll charge $3,000 to $5,000 for that, and they don't do these other things. But this is not something that you and I bring that they couldn't do on their own. But we do have an efficient way of helping them build their business credit and add trade lines. Then the last bullet is having a strong balance sheet, having financials. And again, I think you'll run into this the way that I do. So many small businesses say, oh, no, it's a startup business. That doesn't matter. Or I couldn't have strong financials. And that is financial illiteracy at its worst. No, just because you have a new or a newer business doesn't mean that your business has to look weak. That's a horrible mindset to have, and it's really self-limiting. So what we're going to do is help them have a balance sheet that's lender compliant, and we're going to help them have collateral, have assets on that balance sheet, because we're going to literally transfer over real assets. These assets are in the form of receivables, accounts receivables, as we've talked about before. They're real. Then we can help them liquidate those receivables and turn those receivables into cash. So once we have all of these bullets, not some of these bullets, once we have all of these bullets, now we have a fundable business. There's lots of different places that we can help the client get funding, but one of which is the Chapman Fund. Chapman Fund is from a taxing authority. Well, what's great is that our address is in the taxing district of the Chapman Fund, which opens up a source of capital that they wouldn't have if they didn't have an address in the Chapman Fund's taxing district. So going back to the how, you're going to run into some people that just say, I just want funding. But you need to lovingly and in a consultative manner ask, well, is your business fundable? And then from whatever they say, there's going to be that trust but verify. You're probably going to need to dig in a little bit to determine. So what's the easiest way to do that? It might be to ask, well, tell me, what is your paydex scores? How many trade lines do you have reporting? And do you have a balance sheet that is ready to be submitted to the lender, that has assets that can be pledged as collateral? Because if they don't have these items, they're not fundable. The other issue that sometimes we run into is, I'm not paying anything up front. It's almost an exclamation. You ever run into that? A prospect will say, well, yeah, I want money to start and grow a business, but I'm not paying anything up front. Well, let's just imagine that they go to American Airlines and say, I want to go to Paris, but I'm not going to pay for that ticket up front. I'm not going to pay for that ticket up front. You get me to Paris, and then I'll pay for the ticket. How's that? Well, American Airlines says no. If you want to book the ticket, you're going to pay at the time of booking. Same with all other airlines. Well, you and I are providing a scope of services, and it's quite valuable. There's no risk to the client, but there is a cost, and either they can pay up front or they can use the buy now, pay later financing. But it's typically broke people that will say this. It's the people that don't have the money to pay for the airfare to go to Paris that say, I'm not going to pay up front. It's their way of dealing with their financial insolvency in many cases. But with that being said, if they don't understand what you and I are doing, they're saying, well, I'm not going to pay for a loan in advance. Well, we're not charging them for a loan in advance, are we? If you as a branch have elected to add a performance fee to the client agreement, which is your choice, the performance fee is paid after they're funded, which is what they're asking for. But there's a scope of services that are being provided, especially this one. And for them to think that we're going to do a bunch of work and spend a bunch of time with them and them to have no skin in the game is lunacy, right? It doesn't make sense. So what's the point? The point is, if you educate the prospect, make sure that we're covering both. Are you wanting money to start or grow a business? As well as the second question, is your business fundable? And then helping them understand what it means to have a fundable business. If they say yes to this, then if they say yes, their business is already fundable, and you take a moment to verify that, making sure that they really understand what that means in terms of these bullets, then frankly, they don't need the program. They could still enroll and we could still take them to funding and there wouldn't be any prep time. But in general, people that say yes, that really have a fundable business, they really don't need this. They should be down at the bank right now talking to the lender and getting approved. But most small businesses are not fundable. Most of them don't know what it takes. And you and I provide a very nice package of resources to help them become fundable. So let's turn it back to you. What do we need to do? So today is payday for you. So we'll start with Ernest. Ernest, thanks for joining. So you're a few minutes late, so I'll call you out since you're late to class. Ernest, what do we need to do for you today to make today payday? Because there's just no doubt that there's a multitude. There's almost an insurmountable need of small businesses needing capital, right? That's not hard to find. Most of them are not fundable. And so what we, you and I, all of us provide is a recipe, a formula to become positioned for funding. So we need to make sure that every one of you are paid today. So Ernest, what do we need to do to make sure that today is payday for you? Felicia, what do we need to do today? Jeanette, Kenya, Larry, Lon, Marilyn, Pauline, Reginald, Rosalind, Sonia, Terrence, Trevor, Varney. We've got 326 of you on today. What is it we need to do? So I've covered what I wanted to discuss in our first 18 minutes. Now let's turn it to you. If you can type into the Q&A, which is like a chat function of Zoom, what is it that you need to know? What do you need help with? What's keeping you from making today payday? In other words, what's keeping you from enrolling a client today? You all should, if you've enrolled as a branch, you all should have the editable client agreement to use. You take that client agreement, you typically will put it into DocuSign or Adobe, however you want to do e-signature. You have the client sign it, the client pays you, and then we implement. So who needs help with something, with anything, in enrolling a client today? If you don't have leads, we've had prior discussions about how to go generate leads. If you need help advertising, we've had discussions on that. All of those are saved up on our YouTube channel, Business Paralegal on YouTube. I'm here humbled to answer your questions of what do you need. Varney, thank you for being on. Varney, what do you need today to enroll one client? Sonia, what do you need today to enroll one client? Rosalind, Reginald, Pearlie, Pauline, Marilyn, let me know, because we need to execute, but you need to let us know. You came here for this training. You took time out of your busy morning where you could be doing other things. Help me understand what it is that you need. Because my point to you today is that there's a lot of people that want funding. They want to go to Paris, but they don't know. They should be asking, how can I get to Paris? How can you help me get to Paris? Well, we're explaining how we can help them become fundable, because you don't just want money. You don't just need money. All right, so Bernard, makes point that his main obstacle is getting them to pay the $2,500. Well, so first, I think it's making sure that you have a good prospect. Do they want funding to start or grow? And then are they fundable? And then if you use some sort of checklist, maybe similar to what we have here, to determine, what is their path to become fundable? That's the design of this comparison spreadsheet. If they're already fundable, they don't need your help. And if they're not fundable, then the question is, what's their plan? Like if they're going to go to Paris, how are they going to get there? And help them understand we have one option, right? Now, probably not the only option. We have one option using this comparison sheet. And I guess in the end of the day, some people are ready to take action and some aren't. I don't think you'll run into a pricing issue, because if they can't afford to pay you the $2,500 up front, then they can of course pay $500 down and finance the rest. And let's be frank with one another. If they don't even have $500, they're probably not ready to start a business. So I don't think you have to write that off as a failure to your branch. If they're insolvent, maybe you could hire them to be one of your reps. They could go out and do some teaching or client development. All right. Well, if there's anything that we can do, we're here. If you've not gone through this page, I think you should. There's some valuable resources. And the most important thing is to understand how to enroll a client. Scripting. So there's a question for a script. And so on this comparison sheet, here is the script, by the way, on the left-hand side. So all of you should have this comparison sheet. If you don't have the comparison sheet, you can call us, or better yet, email us, and I can send you that comparison sheet. But yes, Kenya's asking for a script. And so the script is, in fact, part of this comparison sheet on the left-hand side here. Okay. Anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, let's make today payday. Let's literally go enroll a client today. Let's get paid today. All right. We'll see you all back tomorrow morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.